The last presentation of this session before we have our discussion, Pascal Galichon from the Port of Le Havre is going to talk to us about their practices. He's the Director of Sustainable Development and Strategic Steering at the Port Authority. So good to see you again. It's been a few years.
So good morning. The question which has been asked to me is, since 2008, regarding WPCI, what has been done? And what has been done especially in Le Havre? I will try to answer to this question. But just a few words about WPCI before. On the month of April 2008, the International Association of Port and Harbour requests to its Environment Committee, in consultation with regional port organization, to provide a mechanism for assisting the port to combat climate change. In July 2008, it was in Rotterdam, 55 ports from all over the world, from the different continents, decide to act together. And they focus their works on mainly 5 points, and you can see it on the slide. Reduction of greenhouse gas from ocean shipping, reduction of greenhouse gas from port operation, reduction of greenhouse gas from inland transport, enhancement of the use of renewable energy, and the last one, development and auditing of CO2 emission. In the fact, the WPCI was formally launched at the symposium which was hosted by the Port Authority of Los Angeles and the EIPH Port Environment Committee on November 2008. What are the missions? The missions of WPCI is to raise awareness in the port and maritime community of need of action, initiate studies, strategies, and action to reduce greenhouse gas emission and improve air quality, provide a platform for maritime report sectors for the exchange of information, and make available information on climate change. In practice, what has been done? I would say that there is 3 main actions. The first one, a carbon footprinting guidance document has been published under the leadership of the Port of Los Angeles. It was at the end of the year 2009. It has been quite useful for us to discuss because there are some problems to define carbon footprinting. The second one is onshore power supply under the head of the Port of Gothenburg. And you have a website where you can find many information regarding OPS. The last one of the 3 main tasks is environmental ship index. Some speakers here speak about it before, and I will give you some more detail later about environmental ship index. And if you are going on the website of WPCI, you can see that there are still some projects which are in progress. Let us have a look now on what is done in the port of Le Havre regarding carbon footprinting, ESI, and LNG bunkering. Doug mentioned what we have an action plan regarding carbon footprinting. The French law obliges organisms like the Port Authority to calculate our carbon footprint every 3 years. And we are doing this since 2008. The slide is showing the result for 2008 and 2014. And I must say that I have been very surprised when we make this calculation to see how important was the emission due to maintenance dredging. It represents nearly more than 1/3 of the total emission. And it's the reason why we have decided to focus one of our action regarding the dredgers. One of the dredgers which is regularly coming time to time to Havre is the Samuel de Champlain. And it has been decided by the GIE Dragage Pro, which is the owner of a dredger, to change the engine and to put new engine fuel with gas. And this will have a quite big importance on our total balance regarding greenhouse gas emission. Globally speaking, as it has been mentioned before, we have an action plan regarding greenhouse gas. And the second main point on which we have to work are travels, which is looking in red on the figure. ESI, many speakers have mentioned before. The Port of Le Havre is involved since the beginning in the ESI, and incentives are in place since 2012. It's important to notice that the fact that we have this incentive and the fact that each year we organize a meeting around the ESI with our partners allow us to discuss with ship owners and to have discussions which are very interesting regarding ESI and how they perceived this incentive. On this figure, you see the number of ESI incentive providers. And you can see that since the beginning, we are more and more. And as it has been mentioned before, today we are nearly 50. And the more we will be, the more it will be efficient. And when you are discussing with ship owners, it seems to them that it's very relevant because this index is very simple. And for them, it's very important. And if we are looking the evolution of the number of ships which are scored, you can see on this figure that it increased a lot. In 2 years, since January 2015 and January 2017, you can see that the number of ships which are scored above 20 come from nearly 1,500 to nearly 3,500. And this shows you how it's important for ship owners. And the second point, which is very interesting in this figure, is that you can see that the number of ships which is increased, the more are the ships which are the more efficient. The ship score above 50 are more than 368%, and you see that the ships which are between 20 and 30 are only 71. Only. Well, but it raised, yes, but not so much. So, what I want to say, if there are some ports in the room which have not implemented ASI, please join us. The more we will be, the more efficient we will be. We are working also on LNG, and we have been involved in the project. The name of this project is SAFSECA, Study for Alternative Fuel Experiment in the Seine and Channel area. And this program was focused on mainly two activities. In fact, there are three activities, but the two main ones was a study on low sulfur fuel bunkering in the port of the Seine corridor and the bay. And the second one was setting up a high-level training program to prepare the port personnel involved in LNG bunkering. It has given results. And the first result that we have is that nearly every week, the Haida Prima make a call in Le Havre. And during his call, is bunkering with LNG. So, it's also important to share information with the different partners, with the different ONGs. And in Le Havre, we are working with an organization which is called Atmo Normandy, and it's a kind of agency which is in charge of the survey of the air quality in all the Normandy. And one of the results of this collaboration is an evaluation of the contribution of the maritime sectors on the local quality of air. Here you have one result regarding particle meters. You can see that globally speaking, the particle meters are decreasing. But what is interesting for us is to know what is the contribution of the maritime transport regarding these particle meters. And you can see that it's around 9%. We have the same figure for CO2, and it represents nearly 5%. But what I must say is it's very difficult to make comparison between one port and one another port, because the boundaries could be very different. Here in Le Havre, what we have decided with Atmo Normandy is to take the ships when they are nearly at 22 kilometers from the port. And globally speaking, regarding CO2, regarding SOx, NOx, and PM, we can see that the emission between when the ships are in the port itself, inside the dike, it represents nearly 50% of the total emission regarding this calculation. So you have nearly 50% outside the port, and 50% more or less. That depends on if you're speaking of NOx, SOx, and so on. Well, what next for the future? We are going to extend the application of ESI to cruise vessel, because today we are doing this only for container ships and ro-ro ships, and we have decided to extend it to cruise vessel and at the Aeropa Square. Aeropa, yes, it's Le Havre, Rouen, and Paris, the same axis, in fact, because we are working all together. We are going to be involved in new European projects regarding LNG and, well, put in place and develop our action plan to reduce our greenhouse gas emission. Thank you.